maybe almost on the slow side with the way Fresno State's been able to hang around with some teams, but definitely expect Utah State to come away with a win.
Okay. Yeah, I mean it's been a pretty inconsistent team, and it's been a team that hasn't gotten it done in some of those close games that they've been in, and have also been kind of blown out and outplayed in some of the games as well. So should be fun to watch. I think, in my opinion, it's kind of exactly what the Aggies need right now because Utah State, speaking of not being able to kind of finish games, finish drives, just close, but not close enough, and not pulling out the plays that they had to win the game. Um, that's been the story of these three conference losses that they definitely could have pulled out. So we appreciate you jumping on with us, Jackson. We appreciate your time. Unless you have anything else you're dying to tell us about. Oh, I forgot Seth. I think is on as well. Seth, you on? Did you jump back on?
Yeah, I'm here.
Do you have any other questions for Jackson before we let him go?
We talked about Fresno's offense a little bit. If you have time, if we could just talk about their defense. Last three games, they've given up quite a bit of yards on the ground. Is there, I don't know, is their defensive linebackers? I think it's Camille. I think that's how you say his name, the middle linebacker. He's kind of a stud. But how are they up front? How are they on the defensive line?
The team last year was really bad as a defensive front, especially in a 3-4 set. They had to move their defensive end to nose tackle, and it was just a mess. They fixed a lot of that in recruiting, but it hasn't come together yet. Personnel-wise, they have a lot better bodies. They have your bigger nose guards that you'd like to see. Malik Forrester's the starter there. He's about 320 pounds and can eat up some space. They have some decent depth at defensive end, it would seem, but not a lot of guys that had played much college football up to this point, and it's been a struggle. And maybe that's a group that comes together next year, but right now it's not looking so good. The linebackers, too, it's kind of the same group they've had for a year or two now, and it just hasn't been up to par there. Fortunately, the secondary has been short up a bit. Personnel-wise, they've done pretty well. There's been some blown assignments, but usually when they have to make a play, they come up with it. It's a little bit of a role reversal. Back in those Derek Carr years, they had great run defense and poor pass defense, and somehow it's been flipped here recently.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, and it seems like the one thing that Fresno State did against San Diego State was they let San Diego State run all over them, but then they made a couple good stands in the red zone and kind of bend but don't break. And Utah State has kind of had a weird offense where they've been able to move the ball in the outside of the red zone, and a lot of times get bogged down in the red zone. So that's my key to the game as far as when you get into the 40s, 30s, and the Fresno State side of the field, they've got to finish drives and they've got to take some shots to the end zone, or man up and get physical and run the ball against Fresno State when they do have those opportunities, because that may be out of the you might get all you really expect is to get those 4, 5, 6 good drives out of the offense. Every drive isn't going to be a great drive or a 80-yard, 90-yard long drive, but Utah State just they've had big plays and their drives stall out. So yeah, again, Jackson, thanks for jumping on. I know Lucio from the Red Wave podcast, he's going to have me on. I think it's tomorrow that we're going to record that. So if any Aggie fans or Fresno State fans are listening to this, we'll we'll do some cross podcasting, and so check that out. We appreciate you jumping on. Jackson's the scout publisher for Fresno. site. So definitely go over there and check out some of the articles about Fresno State and the message board and that kind of thing. So Jackson, appreciate it.
Awesome. Thank you very much. I appreciate
Okay.
it as well.
All right. Talk to you later.
All right. Bye.
So that was what Jackson had to say. Obviously, he's not, he's pretty much a realist as far as the team. I was gonna ask him um, a little bit more about kind of what he's expecting the rest of the way. But basically, based on his answer, I'm assuming he's not expecting a lot this year. In the second half, a lot he's not expecting much to change from the second half, from the first half to the second half. Um, and this team, I think they're hoping, some of the new assistants and different things will help bring in more talent, but I don't know if the new assistants will have much of a chance to turn things around if DeRuyter gets canned this year, or if he only lasts one more year. Um, you know, Based on what he said about recruiting and different things, the recruiting philosophy isn't changing, and it's not going to be much better next year unless they make a big change or do something different. So, what do you see from this team? Have you watched them much, Seth?
I've watched them a little bit. I watched a little bit of the San Diego State game, and kind of like what you said earlier, I didn't expect to see what I saw. They played a lot closer, but I don't know how good. I mean, San Diego State's a good team, but I mean, you saw them go into South Alabama, and that team beat them 2 years in a row. Um, but it just seems like Pumphrey for them. I mean, they don't throw the ball. They line up in what Wells calls the 22 package, and they just run it at you. You know exactly what they're going to do, but they do it well enough that you can't stop it. You know what I mean?
Yep.
I was flipping back and forth between so many different things. I didn't get to sit there and watch the whole game. I usually try to, watch a little bit of, the team that we're going to play, the week before or whatnot, just to see what we're up against. But just by looking at their stats, that's why I kind of asked them that last three games, they've given up an average of 294 yards on the ground, and I don't know where those yards are coming from. I mean, Pumphrey, he had a big game. I mean, he runs inside, outside, but their pass defense, I mean, the last three games, you can take out San Diego State just because they don't throw the ball ever. I think they had like 74 yards passing. I think he only threw it like 12 times or something like that all game. But the other two games, I think they played UNLV and Nevada. So they played UNLV, then Nevada, and then San Diego State. I think UNLV only threw for 129 and Nevada threw for 163. So teams aren't even getting 200 yards on them, but they really don't need to. If people are running, for 294 on average, I mean, I can't remember what team. Well, it must have been. I think San Diego State ran it for 292. I think Nevada ran it for 364, and then 226 for UNLV. So I just think, and then the week before I didn't go back any further, but I did look at it a little bit. But the Toledo game, I think it was Toledo. Toledo's they're a good team. They're really good. I think they had over 300 in passing and 300 in rushing. So their defense is just, I don't know. They're not. I don't want to say, well, we should be fine. Well, I thought we'd be fine against Colorado State too.
Yeah, I mean,
but,
Colorado State's
we
defensive
weren't.
line is horrible. So
Yeah, and it just, and that game, I don't know if you want to talk about it at all, or we're just going to talk about Fresno. But
well, I mean, we can finish that up because I was just about to say that the Fresno State's allowing 5.2 yards per carry. So I mean, you're not going to win a lot of games when the opponent's rushing for 5+ yards per game. and obviously, I mean, San Diego State's the epitome of that. They're going to run it down your throat and just keep running it and running it. Um, and they're going to usually keep it close. They're not usually going to blow people out because they don't throw it or whatever unless you just can't stop them. But yeah, I mean, I was more impressed with Fresno than I thought I was going to be by far. So Saturday, it's a game that Utah State could lose if they don't come out and play well. All these teams and kind of that's I guess from the interviews that Matt Wells has done the last couple days. That's kind of his thing he's been telling us, and he knew that this was a tough league and there's tough teams. I mean, New Mexico is a pretty good team. All of the teams are pretty close as far as New Mexico, especially the division. But even Nevada and Fresno State, they could jump up and beat the Aggies. Especially you would think the home game against this game against Fresno State would be the easiest. But you just never know. I mean, Fresno State's got some talent. So the Aggies are just gonna have to come out and play. What's your do you have a key to the game on Saturday? And then I've got a few things to say about the last game against Colorado State.
Yeah, I got 5 different things I got here. Obviously, with them giving up the yards they do on the ground, we got to be able to rush the ball. Whether Mays is back or not, it doesn't matter. I really like the way Lindsey ran the ball in the first half against Colorado State last week. I think he needs to come out with the same fire. Got to get somebody else to step up, whoever it's going to be. They need to step up, and when he needs a breather, they need to come in and keep clicking on the ground. Utah State's got to stop the running back's last name's James. They got to stop that guy. He's had some decent games this year. He's a big dude. He's kind of like Mays. He's 6'2", 225-ish. So he's a big guy. Can't let him, get it going. Fresno State, like Jackson was mentioning, their receivers. I'm really impressed with their receivers. Just the talent they have. It's going to be a tough matchup. They're big guys. Like the guy he was mentioning, he's 6'3". He's listed at 220, 225. I mean, and there's a couple other ones that are, they have a lot of length. And receivers with length have caused Utah State issues in the past. So hopefully, with the problems at offensive line that he was mentioning, we can cause some disruptions and get on their quarterback. And, got to contain him as well. But that wasn't one of my keys anyway. But we got to play with an edge. Another key I had. I thought we came out last week with a lot more fire than we have in the past. It just seemed like everybody was, especially on offense. I thought the offense came out really, just the way they're running the ball, the way they're, blocking, run blocking and stuff like that. They got to come out with the edge. And my 5th key is they got to maintain the edge for all 4 quarters. They can't. I don't know what's happening at halftime. I don't know if they go in and take naps. I don't know what's happening. But it's like they come out total brain fart and they just lose it, And it's like when Lindsey fumbled the ball, he had a really good run going, and he fumbled. Since that fumble, he just didn't come out. I don't know if he was skittish or what. He was just paranoid that he was going to fumble again. I don't know. But it just didn't seem like they came out with as much fire as they had, And I'd like to see Myers use his feet a little bit more. We saw him last year. It just seems like he used his feet a lot more last year than he has this year. You see it at times, and I just wish he's a really good weapon, with his feet. I wish his passing would come together a little bit. And as far as that go, he doesn't have a ton of time, so the Lions got to do their job and whatnot. But those 5 things, we got to rush the ball, we got to stop the rush,